What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about PayPal. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's been coming out associated to the company and where I see things going from here. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that said, let's get right to it. Currently, it is up 1.65%. 4.4 million shares have been traded so far. 13.2 is the average. So today is going to be a little bit low for the volume, but you can kind of tell that based off of this. So institutions aren't really getting into PayPal as they once were roughly about 2 weeks ago. So maybe they're waiting for data that is coming out Wednesday and onwards. So again, that could be one fact that might be holding PayPal back from really breaking out. So I'll talk on that in a second. As of today, there hasn't been any recent news, no SEC filings. Last real documents that were submitted to the SEC were kind of about the whole board of directors and that change that did happen on the 28th. So it is what it is, nothing really crazy, no real reason to buy PayPal nor sell at that stage. And so I think right now, PayPal is just kind of stuck in limbo. A lot of investors are waiting for the upcoming earnings just to see like what is coming, because last earnings, they did have some fairly good numbers, but they gave very poor future guidance. So we'll just have to wait and see maybe if they were just kind of lowering the bar enough for them to kind of jump over easily. We'll just have to once again wait and see. But as far as shorts are increasing about 30,000 shares right now. 2.15% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 22.96 million shares overall are being shorted. I'm just merely bringing this up as a benchmark. Definitely not saying PayPal is a short squeeze play, but by them increasing a small amount, but still, regardless, by them increasing on a green day, it does show that they feel somewhat it's not justified. So again, there's that kind of to take away from that. As of late, there hasn't been any recent analyst ratings. So last one was done about 4 days ago. $68 price target, Bank of America, Jason, who does have a 57% success rating. So overall, pretty good. Aside from that, 13 days ago, there was two, $60 and $74, RBC and Evercore, Daniel, who has a 49, and David, 44% success rating. So as a consensus, analysts have roughly about $67.83 as their price target, and that does represent a 2.46% upside from here. So that is relatively low, in my opinion, especially comparing it to a lot of other fintechs and whatever else. And just to give you a quick overview, as I mentioned during the actual earnings, since Q1 is now locked and loaded, you can kind of see what their estimates are. So right now, there's 32 analysts that did give ratings, and currently they have a consensus of $1.21 for the earnings per share. So that has gone up slightly. So one bearish analyst did remove their rating. So of course, I think that's a fairly good thing. And then looking at revenue, 30 analysts with a consensus of 7.51 billion. And so when it comes down to that, no real change over this last little bit. And in reality, I feel like here lies the problem and why PayPal is kind of stuck in limbo is just analysts don't really anticipate that much significant growth over the foreseeable future throughout 2024 and onwards. So in reality, I think that's the only point why PayPal is kind of still stuck in the 60s versus breaking out to the 70s and even potentially even higher from that. So just to give you a quick overview of options. So right now, $7.79 million in calls being purchased versus 2.29 in puts. Sentiment wise, 47% of all the options being done today are optimistic and bullish. So I think generally that's a good thing. And of the call options that are being purchased, you do see consensus for it to be roughly above about $68 to $70 by the end of this week. So clearly good data is assumed for CPI that is coming out on Wednesday, and then PPI and just a lot of Fed speakers. So definitely a very volatile week, but clearly people are hedging that it is going to be positive. And then looking at puts, there is a consensus for it to be sub $63. And if it does break below that $63 mark, then this is where it could fall pretty significantly. And when it comes down to some support and resistance points, at least in the short term, with it right now at 66.35, it is trading between this pivot and this R1. And in fact, it did bounce off of this R1 today. So it has a high of 66.70 today, and then so 66.80. So obviously that's a heavy resistance point, but 65.34 is going to be that next strong support. And in fact, it did bounce off of that. So PayPal is a perfect example of a option trader's dream because it is kind of just trading within a set range, and it is very volatile. So again, that is very advantageous for those individuals that do options. But right now, the broader market is really propelling a lot of stocks higher, just a lot of optimism, and most likely that should carry forward into tomorrow, and maybe even enough, possibly dependent on Wednesday's results on the data points, it might even push for the rest of the week. But as of right now, on the actual chart, it is higher percentile of the boiling band. Looking at stochastic, this whole sell-off that did happen right here from it about 67 to 63, that was very much needed. Even though it did scare a lot of individuals, even myself, I did buy in previously around 58, and this downtrend had me somewhat worried. So I was tempted to sell. Luckily enough, I didn't. So it has recovered. But in reality, like I said, if it does break below that $63 mark, then this is where it could potentially fall down quite a lot, in fact. But beside the point, the whole reason why I was bringing this up is because of this downtrend. It did reset the technicals because it was overbought for a very long time. So this downtrend did really help the technicals, at least bigger picture. So right now it is at 47, so somewhat neutral, but there is no defined trend. A start actually of a bullish deviation, so white line above the red minorly. So we'll just have to wait and see what does develop from that. Number of retail investors, or I guess overall investors, have been getting out ever since it looks like March the 26th. So let me know your thoughts on that. And if you are one of those individuals that have recently sold out, let me know why. Is it just because it's running out of steam? And ultimately, that is one of the main reasons why PayPal, again, is kind of stuck within the 60s range, is because they haven't really given any substantial reasons for people to buy. Of course, they have put out quite a lot of news, but a lot of that isn't really substantial. So this is where it's kind of just stuck in limbo. In my opinion, I still do feel that PayPal is going to do a lot of good things in the foreseeable future, and that these revenue estimates for the future growth is rather timid. And so in reality, 7% for 2025, 7% for 2026, probably it should be double that. And analysts, like I said, aren't really anticipating much growth. And so they are assuming that PayPal has nothing up their sleeves to really do anything. So we'll just have to wait and see what Alex does come up with, maybe during the next earnings, or at least future guidance for that. So let me know your thoughts on PayPal. When it comes down to where I see things going, I do feel more upside is coming, but if it does fail to get above this point right here, this R2, this is where you will see a very swift downtrend, potentially to this S1 once again. So definitely a lot of volatility is going to be coming for PayPal. So let me know your thoughts on all of this. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with PayPal? One final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and they do give you 7 fractional shares of the 𝗪𝗧. So $35 total value. So pretty good return on investment for just throwing $100 at a new account. So don't forget to take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.